What up, Sycho Nation, and welcome back to the Asylum. Today I'm doing a Visage game review. Now, I know a lot of you have heard or watched a lot of Visage, and I've been asked a few times if it is even worth picking up. And I gotta say, yes, I 100% think it's worth picking up, if only for the first 3 chapters. Now, I'm gonna go through the chapters here, and tell you their pros and cons. So Lucy's chapter, chapter 1, is, in my opinion, the best chapter in the entire game. You can tell a lot of time and effort was really put into this chapter to make it as terrifying as possible. With Lucy and the demon constantly hunting you, and you're never safe in the dark, only way to get rid of the demon is to take a picture of it. It makes it very stressful, and it makes the scares all the better. Just the intense story behind it made it just worthwhile entirely. Now, chapter 2, Dolores' chapter, is also very, very good. A lot more puzzle based. So if you're not into puzzles, this chapter is going to be tough on you. They don't really guide you in any way. There is no holding your hand for the puzzles. You pretty much have to figure out where and when to go to each area in order to open up the next corresponding area, and it can get really confusing because it's not like they label the areas 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have to open up each area, figure out which part you have to do first, and continue on. The puzzles can be difficult, though most of them are pretty laid back with very direct routes on what to do, but none of them can be done out of order. With Dolores constantly coming after you, it's a little easier than the Lucy chapter for the hauntings, because Dolores does not show up as frequently as she could have. Though she does show up in doorways, peeks around corners, and scares the absolute crap out of you. So that's always a positive. So Rakks Chapter is one of the newest chapters released in the full release, and it is 100% worth playing, just for its story and the creepiness that they threw into it. It's not like the first 2 chapters that completely depend on the scare tactics and puzzles. Rakks Chapter really depends on the story and Rakken coming after you and the faceless ghouls that are around chasing you. It's more of a stressful situation to try and avoid, try and escape. There's run sequence or chase sequences. It's a really good chapter, and it's really fun to play with a lot of creepy undertones to it. And then we get to chapter 4, and a lot of people are having problems figuring out even how to start chapter 4 with the videotapes. So that in itself made it a really difficult chapter to start enjoying right off the hop. And then the videotapes in general, they're good, and the story behind the videos is awesome. My personal favorite would be Negligence was amazing. The graphics, the atmosphere, the general outlook of that entire video was amazing. But once you finish them, the ending is to be desired, I guess. It's not the best thing that they could have done with the game. It's actually kind of a letdown in comparison to what the game was and what they ended it with. It feels very rushed, and it feels like they just didn't really put a lot of thought into how the game should end. There is 2 versions of the ending. One being completing the game properly, the other one taking the easy way out. I'm not going to give away how to do either of them, but if it was me, I would have chosen the alternate ending as the actual ending, and the alternate ending that it is right now to be. Oh, sorry, I got confused. So I would just switch the endings around, because the actual ending is just not that great. It makes it feel like all the stuff you did in the game really wasn't worth the ending. In general, the game is really good. For graphics, I would give it a 10 out of 10. Controls, I would definitely give it at least a 9.5 out of 10, just because I'm not a big fan of the click and drag feature that they have for opening for doors and drawers. I know there is a way that you can take that off and it's just click and open, but I didn't want to alter the settings too much. As for gameplay, it's so good. Like, even with the ending being the way it is, the game is 100% worth playing. Definitely worth the money. And the developers that made this game, they definitely put their heart and soul into the game. Something happened along the end, and I believe that the audience started rushing them and they felt the pressure. Because even I was like, okay, when's this game coming out? When's it coming out? I already bought the early access. I've played the first 2 chapters to the bone. What am I supposed to do here? So I think they got pushed really hard because they got backed really high with their Kickstarter, everything like that. So it may not be completely on them, and for all we know, there could be updates in the future to add new things, new content to the game. We don't know, because even when you end the game, it still says early access. So it could be that they're going to release more, and I look forward to that, because if they do, it will make the game so much better. Maybe the ending isn't the ending and it's just leading into something else. Who knows? Anyway, guys, in general, I would give this game at least an 8 out of 10 for overall gameplay, overall everything, just because it's a fantastic horror game and definitely one of the best horror games to come out in the last 5-10 years. It's right up there with the classics like Outlast and Amnesia, stuff like that. It will be a classic, and I highly suggest getting it. All right, guys, have yourselves a great night. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Stay psycho.